All right, I'm here with Jordan Shallow. We're continuing on with some more shoulder stuff. This is, we're gonna talk about a lateral raise. And what I'm excited about having someone with Jordan is someone probably most all the guys I've ever met, his understanding of mechanics is beyond me for sure. And so I love to reach out to him when we're talking about movements like this and how to articulate it correctly. I think a lot of people just go through the movement without paying attention to how they do it. And I think a lateral raise is a common one that we see people mess up a lot.
For sure, it's the most commonly permeated exercise I see. And what I mean by that is everyone has a different way of doing it. But if we look at the biomechanics behind it, there really is, I don't want to say there is only one way to do it, but from that standpoint, there really is only one way to do it, right? So the problem with everything in the gym, dose dependency. If some is good, more is better. So what you'll see a lot of times, lateral raise, when we're working that medial or lateral head of the deltoid, it's an abductor of the shoulder, right? But it's not the only abductor of the shoulder. So if some is good, more is better. So if we want to or if some is good, more isn't necessarily better. If we're trying to isolate it, then we want to think of putting the other muscles that will abduct the shoulder in a position of mechanical disadvantage. So we keep that isolation on that medial head of the deltoid. So the supraspinatus will initiate abduction of the shoulder about 15, 20 degrees. The trap, like I talked about earlier, is going to set that trajectory from the humerus upwards from the scapula setting. So
in other words, the last part of this movement, right?
Exactly. So you basically want to work between 20 degrees and about 90 degrees. So that initiation of the range of motion, that's all coming from the shoulder blade. That's coming from that supraspinatus starting that movement for us.
I see this a lot with my bodybuilders, you know this.
Exactly, that momentum, right? If we're trying to train in isolation, we want to use the delt all the way through. Another thing, the delt is a better abductor when internally rotated, right? The anterior delt is a better abductor when externally rotated.
We're gonna ruffle some feathers right here, I know we are.
No, so the key to this and the lateral raise lives and die with initiating the movement with the lats. Lats will bypass that 20 degrees of that supraspinatus activation, put that shoulder in an internally rotated position. From there, just pull with the delts. So it's gonna look a little something like this. So the common mistake you'll see is this. Right, that momentum. But what I want to see, think of like, you used to bodybuild, right?
Yep.
Front relaxed pose.
Yep. Right?
Internally rotated lats are flared. My shoulders are leveraged to a position past that supraspinatus activation of initiating abduction of the shoulder. From here, think right to that position. So once you initiate the movement, so my lats are flared, but once you initiate, let the lats relax. Think of pulling from the elbows, keep the shoulders internally rotated, and then back down.
So now I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here, because this is something that I used to teach, very similar. I used to tell clients, think that we're like dumping milk out.
Sure. Think of internally rotating your shoulders.
Right. So that's I used to say, pretend like you're holding, gallons of milk on each side. As you come up, you're pouring the milk out, and that kind of helps people.
As long as that intent is coming from the delt and not coming from pronation and supination of the wrist, I'm all for it.
And that's why I wanted you to correct me if I was wrong, because I noticed that you're staying in kind of that fixed position the entire time, which I think is more ideal. I'm always thinking, how do I communicate this to the average person?
And that's where you come in.
Right. Which I think that's a great tip, but really the idea that we're trying to stay in that position the entire time and not letting all these other muscles kick in.
Exactly.
Excellent tip, you guys. Hey, listen, if you guys like these videos, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Every single day we drop a new video on this channel. Also, at the end of this video, you guys can click the link for 30 days of free coaching with Mind Pump. Check it out.